My wife and I are actually deciding finally that we probably are going to do something with our back area.
Hey, listen, you don't need to talk about that on the podcast. That's between you and your wife.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dicer, and I'm joined as always by Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
And Danae Hughes.
Exasperating.
We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. How is everybody? How's everybody feeling? Everybody ready to go behind the sins?
Ooh.
No?
Yes.
Okay, we don't have to. We can
I just thought maybe we could talk for a little while. You know?
Sure, Danae. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, the weather. You know, let's start with the weather.
Sure. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. How's the weather been?
Hey, we had the hottest day of the year
It has been
yesterday.
So hot. It's been in mid to upper 90s all week here. It is, yeah.
Well, we're back to 90 today, but yesterday was, I mean, literally it was the hottest day of the year. It was 97. Heat index was like 104.
Yep.
Hey,
yeah.
it worked. Look at me go.
I went
out to get the mail, and I was like, there is no need to go back outside today.
I'm dealing with a neighbor judgment with the heat because they have two dogs that they leave out all the time, and they're outside dogs, and it's been so hot, and they're thick coat dogs as well, and I just can't imagine. But I know that dogs are designed to endure weather in ways, and so I'm like, I don't know. I'm not, but I look out over the backyard and I see them, and they're puppies, and they're growing, and they're just out there on the back porch, just like, and I have to avoid looking that direction because it makes me sad.
Yeah, because we had Saints. I hated summer when we had Saints because that was just a pain to make sure. You can only let them out for a few minutes.
And they get overheated.
We had the air condition. We had the kennel run in the garage, which I thought it was funny. I was listening to outtakes on the Sincast last week.
Oh, you listened to outtakes?
They were talking.
Yeah, outtakes are a good thing to listen to sometimes.
They were talking about my Saints. Chris and Barrett were, and it was really funny because Chris is like, "Yeah, you just walk in this room and there's like these cages," and he made it sound like it was like a prison or something, and it was a very nice kennel run in a air conditioned garage. It was not. I don't know. I know that's not what he meant, but it was just funny when I heard that. I was like, I hope people don't think I'm like torturing dogs and
right.
But he's like, they're really nice.
Oh, so Jonathan runs a puppy mill. Okay. Got it. Understand now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like
we had a whole setup.
He's the jig paw killer.
God.
We know who he is. It's been hot. Have you ever seen rabbits lay down?
What?
Have you ever seen rabbits lay down in the grass? Our yard is like home to so many rabbits right now. They must live right around our house. And I will look out my window and they will be sprawled out in the yard, just laying there. I'm like, oh, that's a dead rabbit. No, apparently they lay down to chill. Like
I've never seen that
I know, right?
before.
I hadn't either until this year. I was just like, it's so hot. The rabbits are just like, well, I don't need to worry about predators. It's too hot for them to hunt right now. I'm just going to like sprawl out on the yard.
They're just out. Yeah.
Ian.
Yeah. Fun stuff. Well, nice little batch of outtakes on the inside of the show before we head into this SinSide Scoop. Let's go for it.
What's he building in there?
I've got a secret.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week, the process of sinning them, how we felt about the stuff we are sinning in general. All right, let's get into it. Now, we are in a place that is different. We talked about streamlining last episode.
Last year, yeah.
Last year, whatever. It does feel like a year every week, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. We are in a place where we're streamlining this. Also, we're getting stuff from the people who have written a little bit differently. So I have no idea who's responded for what, all that kind of stuff.
How does it feel to be out of control?
I actually don't mind. I really actually don't mind that part. Okay. As long as you don't mind me asking, hey, what did Jeremy have to say about this? And you're like, Jeremy didn't have anything to say about this.
Jeremy had something to say about this, though.
Let's start off with commercial sins. 2017 Sunsetter Awnings commercial.
Who is this fucking product for? Is what Jeremy starts off by saying.
I've never heard of this, but
really?
Continue with Jeremy's thought. Listen, I don't see commercials, so I don't know.
But this was a while ago, and I remember this commercial.
I don't remember this either.
Oh my God.
I don't.
That's crazy to me because I remember this commercial. It was on all the time. So whatever I was watching,
it must have been.
one.
I am not. I am not an outdoors person, so anything involving like building stuff for outdoors, or I probably tuned it out.
So Jeremy wrote this. What did he have to say?
He says, "Who is this fucking product for? Who are the people out there with scant patio space who want an awning, but only sometimes? You either want that shade or you can't afford an awning. No reasonable person is like, sometimes I'd like to bake in the 100-degree sun, whereas other times I'd prefer to be shady and 80. I kind of want a shirt that has an awning on it that says shady and 80.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
God, guys, I'm so funny. But that was actually what Jeremy said. So is it me or is it's Jeremy? Okay. Anyways,
it's Jeremy.
Not just an awning. This awning is retractable. And hey, if you're super cheap, they have a manual crank version instead of the remote control. Meanwhile, it is a fucking awning. Awnings are universally known to be worthless. The only thing more worthless is a pergola? Pergola?
Pergola.
Mm-hmm. I thought they were called something else. Pergola.
Isn't the pergola where it has
I didn't know
like
people had
slats at the like
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know people had strong opinions about awnings.
This is amazing, right?
This is eye-opening. Yeah.
Danae is saying this, not Jeremy continuing. This commercial, the hatred just coming through on the awning was delightful.
Yeah.
So reading his review is an extra level of juiciness. Anyway, a pergola. And at that point, you might as well put a chain link fence over your head.
Yes, pergolas are the worst. I don't get those.
Why not just suck it up? Admit you bought a property with minimal shading out back and get on with your life. Or just buy a regular awning. Who is out back in the shade of an awning thinking, I need direct sunlight right now that can also not just walk 3 feet from the shade to the sun? I'd also like to point out how many direct insults I wrote about this company. This Sins video is littered with insults. I insulted the actors, the hilarious $200 off coupon if you call right now, in a commercial that's been airing for 4 years. I went ham, as the kids say, for good reason. Retractable awnings? Are you fucking kidding me? What's the next retractable thing? A roof? Not everything needs to be retractable.
Nice. Any sins or anything that he mentioned in there? He just wanted to
Those
rant
are
about it. I totally
yeah.
get
I think
it.
he just
totally
continued to need to vent about it. I mean, yeah, this is one of the delightful. I like all the commercial sins, but this one I was really, really enjoying this one a ton. And I think it's because, again, you can kind of hear his actual frustration. Mm-hmm. It's not forced frustration. This is legitimate frustration.
It's just interesting when somebody is so angered or has such a strong opinion about something that I have never once in my life thought about an awning. Like, I've never had a thought cross my head about an awning.
You haven't?
Me either.
I don't know. It's
haven't had that awning dawning. Yeah.
No, and my wife and I are actually deciding finally that we probably are going to do something with our back area. I don't know that we're getting.
Hey, listen, you don't need to talk about that on the podcast. That's between you and your wife.
Back porch.
I got confused. Apologies.
Good God. I will say though, the sunlight thing, I mean, you could just walk a few feet, so that doesn't really make sense. But I do my daughter lays out sometimes. I think there are times where people want sun on them. I don't know that that's that odd, but I guess you could just venture outside of the awning if you needed to do that. I don't know.
Danae, you want to continue on with the stuff you loved about the video and that?
I love starting off with painting the sun as a villain. Just the idea that we need to have sun, and calling the sun a life-giving motherfucker was great. So, in this commercial, there's two, the token couple that's telling us what we need to buy. And they're like, we love our retractable awning and you will too. And the sin was just paid lies.
Yeah.
Which was really fun. But the other ones that were mentioned were kind of alluded to by Jeremy. So
yeah. What about you, Jonathan?
Well, yeah, he did mention the one because I did like the why would I pay money to only roast a little bit slower, but he kind of that was what he was talking about. But you can even add lights for nighttime enjoyment was on the ad, and then the sin was or just set up a lamp.
That's an option.
I found myself, I also have not really had strong opinions on awnings since I haven't gotten my thoughts on actual awnings out there yet. I did find myself, however, watching this Commercial Sins and agreeing with everything that was said.
Right.
And just being like, in two areas. Area number one, the awning in general. Area number two, all the stupid advertising tricks that these kind of commercials do. And that was my favorite part, where the sins that were like,
it says something
a certificate.
About,
why do you need a certificate? Like, all that stuff that these stupid commercials do because they know it moves some sort of lizard brain needle, that people have built into them. And it's really frustrating.
The lizard. So to ask people to, if you're not convinced you want this and you want a coupon to get money off of this awning, call us and we'll send you the certificate. Well, that also means that they now have your home address.
Right.
And it's not just lizard brain in that case. They're actually trying to figure out how to send you more stuff to sell to you. Yeah. And so
I'm saying we have the lizard brain, not them.
No,
I'm saying,
I know.
Yeah.
I think the appeal is buy it now. You would think that would be number one, but they're like, if you don't want to, give us your home address and then we'll, suddenly you're on 17 mailing lists and you didn't even know why. So.
Well, even if you do buy it, they're not going to leave you alone. Yeah. You're just going to get,
God forbid I searched for solar energy one time and now I get phone calls. Like, it's like crazy.
Insurance is the worst. Like if you ever try to find, private health insurance or whatever.
Okay. So the other day I was doing a quick, I was trying to call the people that help us with our trees because I had a question about something for trees. And I looked up their phone number on Google, and then I did the dumb thing where I clicked the first number, which was an advertised company, which was a completely different company.
Yeah.
So, and I immediately hung up, and I got the call back within like 10 seconds, and it was them saying, "Hey, we missed your call." And I was like, God, do you remember when we used to have a little window of time to hang up and they didn't even know you called? But now it's so instant that you don't even have a second. I
remember the time where you could call and they would have no clue what number you were calling from.
Or that you called at all. It would just ring and ring and ring and ring and ring. You hang up and you'd be like, "Hey, I called you yesterday." You'd be like, "Really? I didn't. I must have been outside."
It's amazing.
Now we can't ask people if their refrigerator's running anymore. We just, it's unfortunate.
The only other one I wanted to mention is, and this deals with what I was talking about, but you know what else starts under $800? A tree, an air conditioner, an actual awning that doesn't feel the need to retract, a dozen patio umbrellas, and then just being cut off, by the choices. So beautiful. All right, let's move into TV sins. A couple brand new Rick and Mortys this week. Episodes 3 and 4 of the new season 5. So we started with a Rickconvenient Mort.
Can we just start off by saying this is when the season begins to take a very sexual turn?
Well, this was a Danae and Ian script, I believe. And so Danae and Ian writing on this one.
Yes. I think I remember writing to him being like, well, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun bonding experience for us. Let's write on this one because I'm watching it going, this is what I'm sinning. Oh.
This is the Planetina one, right? This is the one where Rickconvenient Mort, isn't that the right one?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So Morty's dealing with Planetina and falling in love, and then Rick and Summer are going on an orgy hunt.
They sure
across
are.
like
Together.
doomed planets.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That's totally. That's the general consensus of this one.
So did Ian have anything to say about this one?
Yes, and he warned me because he said, good luck. So I think he listened to last week's episode and just amped up the shenanigans a little bit.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm looking forward to this experience because I have not read them. I should probably read them.
You go into all of these blind. That is a personal choice, and the fans love you for it. So
okay,
continue.
So. Ian says, general thoughts. The creator of Rick and Morty, Mike, now he's just flexing, looking up. The creator, Mike McMahon, has a special place in the nerd's heart as he has also branched into the Star Trek universe with the animated show Lower Decks, which is a freaking hilarious and much-watched show. Oh,
and coming back soon. Mm-hmm. Coming back soon.
Yeah. I actually think I saw a tweet about that recently. I think Ian's friend Sean tweeted that they're doing like a watch-along kind of thing.
Oh, nice.
So if anyone wants to do that. Anyway, and with this episode, he has tackled one of my other childhood favorite franchises, Captain Planet. Danae, if you do not shout Captain Planet, please go back and try again.
Hey, you did. You kind of did.
I did.
Yeah, you did fine.
Yeah.
I was wondering who the Captain Planet fan was. if that was just a joke. I was curious.
I actually liked Captain Planet as well, though, so that worked out well.
Well, it's a little past my time. Like I was a little too old for it by the time it came around.
He continues, I forking loved Captain Planet, not because of the environmental stuff, screw that, but because the dude was a...
The dude was a what? The dude
dot. It was a dot situation.
Got it. Okay.
He says, I'll give you a second to prepare. You got this, Danae. I believe in you. Okay, go. Okay. The dude was a wind-whipping, fire-breathing, water-whooshing, soul-soaring, quippy Superman with a mullet. Okay, the environmental stuff was pretty cool, too. And it had LeVar Burton in it and Whoopi Goldberg. Unfortunately, instead of leaning into that awesomeness, the episode decides to focus on a 14-year-old sexual awakening and mass murder.
There you go.
You guys have discussed this before, but the emotional moments don't land for me. There was a lot of pushback in the YouTube comments because we didn't remove a sin from Morty's breakdown in front of Beth at the climax of the episode. Yes, it was great voice acting, but the show didn't earn the moment. I never believed this was anything more than a weird infatuation that in most countries would have landed Planetina in jail and on some sort of sex offenders register. And I haven't even mentioned the B story of Rick and Summer's otherworldly orgy party, which includes pedotomy, patotomy, L-boobies, and more animated tonguing than I have ever needed in my life. Tee climax. By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet. No reason for that last sentence. I just wanted to hear Danae say it. Oh, you're such an asshole, Ian. Favorite sins. I loved analyzing Jerry's breakfast. If you go to the effort of animating a very specific breakfast, like a soft-boiled egg and toast, why not do it properly?
And this is a running gag on Rick and Morty, by the way. We have sins about their breakfast almost every time.
Yeah, so, but it was interesting to see a different version of that. Like, because I've never seen Jerry have the soft-boiled egg. Yeah. He continues with, what use is the toast if it isn't cut into dippable strips? Which, by the way, I've never heard of before. Have you guys ever heard of that?
Sure.
Yeah.
He called them little soldiers. I was like, is this a sexual joke also?
It is. Soft-boiled egg is a very English breakfast kind of thing. Like, we don't usually do that around here, but yeah.
But he was
you gotta have some.
We do.
He was talking about like you cut them in strips and then you dip them in like little which I don't.
I did no. I get eggs over easy a lot of the time when I go out, and I will dip my toast in that, but I don't cut it into strips. So, but it's the same principle.
Yeah, you don't need to cut it into strips if you're like sopping it up off your plate. It's when it's in the eggshell itself, you have to get it in there. Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I've just never had a soft-boiled egg.
I haven't either. Like number one, and number two, I didn't know that you cut things into strips, but he was very confident, so I was like, he continues by saying, and then, as if that hasn't already taken the biscuit, the damn egg wasn't even cooked. As the narrator rightfully says, why is breakfast? I have to mention my twist on the skip sin with a special shout out to the editing team who freaking nailed it. With minimal instruction, they managed to match the rest of the text message on screen, and it was one of those sins that made me absolutely giddy. Being able to see a quirky idea for a sin materialize on screen so perfectly was an awesome moment, and also Danae's observation that one of the dudes had tattooed the recycling symbol the wrong way round, despite wearing a t-shirt which had it correct way round, was pure genius, amazing observation. Thanks, Ian. And one of those things that makes you think, shit, why didn't I catch that? I quit. Fuck this job. No, wait, please don't fire me. I love it here. Also, what kind of fucked up carrots are you guys in the comments eating that have a layer of skin, muscle, and bony center?
Yeah, Ian has touched on both of my possible, comment sections. So yeah, that's definitely
much,
good
Ian.
Stuff. No, it's great.
I want eggs and toast now.
I do too, actually.
Carrots.
I want eggs and toast.
No carrots.
I don't want carrots.
No carrots.
Danae, what about you as the other writer? What are some of your thoughts about this episode and the sins that were in the video?
Yeah, I think Ian kind of covered it. It was definitely one where when I watched my first pass and I was just in the Rick and Morty shock of it all, that I was wondering what my approach was going to be. But then, I kind of got into my sin brain and I went at a couple of things. Interestingly, I've got some stuff to talk about for keeping tabs, but I loved the lead into the breakfast sins. The sweet baby meeseeks was really clever, I thought. And then the other sin that I really loved was, so obviously I think we should be sinning, Rick and Summer going on their sexcapades together, which is really odd. But then how do you go about it? And so I wrote a sin that was like bonding with your grandparent over, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. And the original sin was eating ass, because that's what they were doing in that scene. They were emulating what it was to be eating ass. So Aaron was the shadow, and he's like, yeah, I can't believe I'm going to say this either. And I don't remember whose idea it was, but we thought, well, what if we just create a whole series of words and we asterisk them out?
Sure it was your idea.
And then it's just up to the viewer to guess what we're indicating.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. So...
And we've done stuff like that before, like with, especially Barrett does that a lot with music videos.
Yeah, people's imagination is funnier than anything we would say anyway. Yeah.
So my question to you, Aaron, is what did you say in the actual narration? Do you remember?
Great question. Great question. I should go back and listen to it. I don't remember. I can tell you.
Because it's gotta be so funny.
I can tell you that what I do, this is nice behind the scenes, because I've done this again recently for one that's coming up. I pick a random word and I use it for every bleep. So like on the most recent one that I remember, because I just did it, I just used the word salmon. Or I think it was salmon.
For shit?
Yeah. No. Just for all the bleeps. So it was like, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Salmoning salmon in somebody's salmon in the salmoning. Or, I just use the same word the entire time.
Okay. I'm wondering what you said. I was really curious. I probably should have listened to it just to kind of figure it out.
I should just start doing the Wes Anderson cuss thing, where how all the characters just say cuss.
Wordy dird.
And I should just be cussing the cuss and the cussing cuss.
So I really loved that one, because just hearing it in the bleeps was genuinely funny to me.
It was, I thought it worked really well.
I laughed in the edit. I laughed when I reviewed it. It was a really fun one. Nice. And then Ian mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. I loved seeing the skip on screen. I thought that looked really, really fun. And it was a really clever play on the skip one. So even though he mentioned it, I will mention it as well.
I am becoming increasingly aware of the fact, and there have been recent episodes that I think confirm Summer is also still in high school. Like, they go to the same school. So,
it's hard to tell. Like, is she an 18-year-old senior
in one of the
or
most
something?
in one of the most recent episodes, they're talking about the new guy at school.
They're trying to impress
the new guy at school.
That's right.
Like, they're both in high school, and
she could be 18.
She could be.
But she's in high
this is
school.
us, though, attempting to justify what they're doing with these characters.
And what I'm saying is, I'm not trying to say teenagers don't think about sex. I'm not trying to say teenagers don't have sex. What I'm trying to say is the show is so casual about these teenagers having sex with adults. Like that is the only, like, that's all I'm saying, is the show is so casual about that. I'm just becoming more and more aware of just granted, I think one character calls it out one time, in these episodes, but I think actually this episode, Morty's mom says something to Planet Tina.
Yes.
And we wrote a sin. Finally, somebody says it, kind of thing. I'm just becoming more aware of. I get it's a cartoon. It's all made up. It's not real, but it's for adults. It's for adults. Like I totally get all that. It's just I don't know. I'm becoming a more more aware of that. Anyhow, I enjoyed the Sin Lords doth giveth, they equally doth take away. There's absolutely no need to censor the word patty here, pretending that the censored word is patty. I love in the comments that people are like, do they really think that the word is? Yes, we do. Yeah, we do. We absolutely do. I loved sinning calling a woman honey, and then actually calling anyone honey. You don't even know me, Kristen from Denny's. I will say the narrator added the Kristen from Denny's part.
I love that.
It comes from a very, very real place.
That's a southern. That's a very southern thing. I get called. I get called. Well, I get called. I wonder if I get called baby and honey more than most women. I don't know. It's just like every drive-through, one of our favorite places to eat. If it's a woman,
one of our favorite places to eat. We've had the same server a few times, and they have they very much. It's honey, like everything. And then my optometrist is dear. She calls me dear the whole time she's checking my eyes.
Do I have antlers? Do you see me?
Do you have servers? Do you have servers like grab your shoulder? That always irritates me too.
No,
I've had that happen a few times.
I haven't experienced that. But I will say
Not okay.
My wife just started a new job, and one of the things they said was, "Do not call people honey. Do not call people dear." Like they are teaching the people at her new job not to do that. So
it doesn't come off well.
Slab Bulkhead just said, "No, Jonathan. They are asking if you want honey." That is fair. They
No,
might
they are
be.
not.
I don't know. And but it's like, here you go, baby.
Yeah.
You know, like, can I have an extra? Can I have a straw? Here you go, honey.
And then the other one I wanted to mention was the patotomy one. The paternal sodomy, patotomy.
That was my favorite. I had that down.
And then places you just won't dip your portmanteaus into. So yeah,
Brilliant stuff.
I assumed you had written this one when I saw that.
Well,
I didn't know who had written it when I watched it.
I think I did actually write that sentence. I don't. One of my favorite things.
I think you tweaked it, maybe.
Yeah, and dip your portmanteaus into was definitely mine.
You added some flair to that one. I think
it's one of my favorite. One of my favorite things is tagging stuff. Like I just there's just something fun about the collaborative nature of that, or when somebody tags my stuff, and it makes it better. Like it's really fun. So yeah. Jonathan, some of your thoughts on this one?
You guys have taken, I think, all of them. Oh no, I did
everything
have.
From you.
I don't know why. There's the one where it was like, meet me at the car, and it was just simply calling a ship a car. I just thought that was, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then not ordering pizza is always a sin. I felt that.
Deep.
So.
Yes, I agree.
That's another reason I thought Aaron had written this one.
It's valid. It's a valid reason to think so. Let's move on to the next one, which was also Danae, but this time Jonathan. Jonathan and Danae on Rickdependence spray, I believe.
A little less. I mean, it was sexual, but it was not.
It's all about living sperm. I don't know. Is it less sexual?
It's not granddad and granddaughter going to get
it's granddad
orgies,
and grandson in this case.
Well, yeah, the granddad had nothing to do with it. The grandson
he did avert his eyes. He tried to avert the gaze. So anyhow, Rickdependence spray, yes, is the one where Morty decides to try out the bowjacker at his mom's place of work, and his semen end up creating a giant sperm that wants to take
baby
over the world.
And this is one of those experiences where I feel like I might just have really bad opinions about things, because I watched this the first time before sending it even, laughed a ton, like really had a good time with it. I pull up IMDb because I always have that tab up in case I need to, look at something on there when I'm writing my Sin script. And it's like the lowest rated Rick and Morty episode ever. There's all these comments about how even Chris even said he thought it might be the worst episode ever. And I'm so confused because there are so many moments in this that are hilarious to me. Yeah. But Aaron's shaking his head like he hated it too. So
I'll talk more about my opinions when it's my turn. But no, I didn't hate it.
Okay, because I thought there were just like the line I'm getting out of your eyes line of sight, which we took a sin off. Oh my God, I had to take a sin off for that. The whole thing about like I'm trying not to run over our neighbors. Oh, that felt like Gene. I mean, that's just comedy. People, what is?
Do you think it's tainted because
you had a sperm queen? That is amazing. I mean, I will say, you had the Return of the President, which I love Keith David. Yeah. So anytime they're going to bring him back, I'm really happy. The Vegas stuff was a little broad. Like just the jokes about Vegas seemed a little lazy. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I thought this was pretty clever and really funny. And I guess I'm in the minority, which is fine. I don't know. On a show like this, it struck me as odd that people had such strong opinions against it.
What were some of your favorite stuff from the episode, the video, I mean? What were some of your favorite sins from the video?
You're talking to me again? Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you went to Danae. What are some sins from the video? I forgot we were doing it this way now.
No,
I
you're
apologize.
Good.
Well, you mentioned calling the horse breeding machine a bowjacker. I really thought that was something I'd written that sin, and I think Aaron added that, if I remember correctly.
This is one of those cases where I came to the combine as a shadow, and I was like, look, guys, this is amazing, but we have to call it a bowjacker at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then in another sin, we called it a horse juicer. I think I just called it I think I just called it the horse breeding machine. I might have at one time. I think I feel like I called it like the horse fucking machine or something, but I think I just put it pretty simply. Mm-hmm. And then, Aaron's like, we're calling this a bowjacker.
Of course we are.
I don't really care what.
Of course we are.
And then I also, another thing I kind of enjoyed about it, because I don't think we see this on the show that much. I don't know that I enjoyed it, but I just thought it was interesting. We don't really see a lot of Beth and Summer stuff. Like, that's not really, like, oddly enough, that's not a pairing we see that often as far as, like, mother-daughter type stuff. So I found that interesting because there's a couple of scenes in here. There's the one where, you know, she comes up with the idea for the egg, and they give the guy credit, you know, and then Beth is like, "You've become a woman today."
That would hurt.
And we did the sigh, and we did that's fair. And then there's the whole thing about where she's like telling her mom that she'll always use a condom even during butt stuff. And then the sin we wrote was waiting this long to talk to your kid about butt stuff.
Yeah.
Which made me laugh, because then all of a sudden all I can think of is like, oh, my wife's going to have that talk with my daughter.
Yeah.
That's going to be weird.
Yep.
And then I wanted to talk about the Kathy Ireland sin, because I wrote a sin that Aaron and Danae both rightfully said could be construed as a little mean-spirited, which I didn't mean it that way. I was just being silly, but I was glad they said something, because then we did basically a 180 with it, and actually said, you know, we were actually being very nice about her, and that was a much better sin. So that's part of the collaboration effort I really like, because it is easy to be mean.
Yeah, accidentally,
even if you're not intending to, because there's such a fine line with what we do, and we really try hard not to just be like criticizing like a person. And my sin kind of did so. But I love that we turned it around, and I actually looked up some stuff on her. Like, she's actually done quite a bit in her life, which I did not realize.
Yeah. Sports Illustrated's Kathy Ireland has done some great work.
She has. She's made herself a nice life.
I'm really glad that we all collaborate. I know we say this a lot, but the multiple perspectives on sins is really helpful, because there's sometimes, I think there's been several that I'll write and be like, I just don't see how it's not coming across that way. And then you'll rewrite it with me. Oh, yep. Yeah. That's much better. And
sometimes we help each other see how it's not going to make sense until we put like certain words in there or clarify what a pronoun is. Like, we end up accidentally playing the pronoun game in our script sometimes. We
do.
And we have to like correct each other on that.
I did that yesterday. I just like replaced the word "it's" with "the dress" so that it would just be a little bit quicker to absorb, because we do have to think about that these sins are clipping by pretty quickly, and we can't remember we can't expect that the people have just watched it. Ian did that for my script recently too, where he said something like, hey, let's reference specifically, I think it was actually in the Planetina episode where we sinned the decoy episode again, but I said previous episode, and he said, let's change it to decoy, because we can't expect that someone's going to remember what the previous one was out of context. And that's very true. So it takes all of us kind of putting our brains together from different angles. One thing I was curious about, Jonathan, we don't have to go into this like long topic wise, but I wonder if this episode is seen kind of more in a negative light because of what's going on. So the jokes almost don't land. This happened last episode for me and this one. The jokes almost don't land for me because I'm so shocked at what I'm watching in a way. You know, maybe a kid, jacking off in a horse fucking machine is normal. And that's like, okay, yeah, boys want to experience this and they're going to find ways to do that. That's one thing. But
yeah, that's, I don't think that's normal.
It's kind of like more it turning into this like incest baby, and then it just jades the episode. I wonder if people can't like it because of where it lands in a way. I don't know.
It's super messed up. I don't know that I just feel like a lot of these episodes are messed up though. I was just talking more specifically, I laughed at the jokes. I don't even really know that I mean, I guess there are episodes where I'm more invested in the story. I definitely wasn't that invested in the fact that they were, created an incest baby and all that stuff. But
the thing that I'm watching kind of progress, at least for me, is Morty kind of standing up more adult-like to Rick with Planetina last episode, where he, at the very beginning he says, yeah, I'll see if my grandpa will let me go, and he just chucks his shirt. He's like, he's fine with it, and turns and leaves. Like, he's kind of defining his own reality, and he's standing up to his mother, and he's sort of like, this is what I want. I don't mind seeing those kinds of things. It's in the context that it's hard to take that stuff out when there's so many other fucked up things happening. They're like, are we Are we excusing this away? I suppose we are. It's just part of the show. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point, though. I think that's a thread going on this season, though, because even in the first episode, Morty stands up to Rick and even goes off on him a little bit and says, "You always take me on these adventures, like you take me out of school.
Yeah.
Like I'm really stupid because of you." Basically, you know,
he all of them are. I think maybe even Summer to a certain degree. They're just kind of defining their own stories a little bit more outside of it being Rick's story. It's kind of more of the families now.
Before you get into your favorite sins, I will say there is a theory that we are watching this season a different Rick and Morty, and that this is the backstory for evil Morty.
No, whatever.
So I wouldn't put it past them. You know what I mean? Like,
no, that's true. But
I mean, we could be watching. Ian and I were just chatting about this. We could be watching a completely different Rick and Morty altogether. This could be
that's what I'm saying.
A totally different family from a different universe.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Duplicates or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The theory is this is a completely different Rick and Morty, and it's the evil Morty we've seen in other episodes. That it's like the background story for an evil Morty that we've already been.
Did he wear a
had
patch?
like a.
Well, but he has. That's when next, in an upcoming episode, maybe something happens to his eye. Like I can see them doing something like that. Actually, I would applaud it. That's really fun.
I would too.
But
and then it kind of justifies how fucked up all the shit is that we're watching. Anyway.
Right. Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. The sins that...
Real quick, somebody asked real quick what the Kathy Ireland sin was. It was, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something along the lines of taking advice from short-illustrated swimsuit model Kathy Ireland or something like that. Sorry.
You're fine. The sins that I was going to mention was the rolling the horse barrel of semen up the driveway.
I can't believe the things we say, but yes. And it's really more a barrel of horse semen than a horse barrel of semen.
Thank you.
But yes.
Thank you. A horse-sized barrel of horse semen could also potentially work. Like, why wouldn't you just back up the car?
Agree. Totally agree.
The Orgazo Goblin. So this sin is like the president's trying to come up with a term to call these crazy sperm, and he says Orgazo Goblins. And I just liked the pointing out that, like, who's going to tell the writers that just because a guy ejaculates doesn't mean that she has an orgasm. And then that was the fun, clever thing. But my favorite, one was asking Jonathan to expand his title of sex tape sin.
Oh my goodness!
It was such a
that worked out well.
This really great sin, and it was about like. It's the title of my sex tape. But he referenced and it's happened a lot throughout this episode. And so my question back was, well, like how much did it happen? And he comes back with this wall of text. And then when I watched it on our edit, I was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
And it just turned out so good. And it's my favorite sin on this entire one because it's just hit after hit after hit.
Thank you.
It's one of my favorite things that you've ever put together. It was so good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great.
I know. Danae's like, why don't you do some more work? I was like,
it was like that one time when Barrett asked me to, like, hey, could you expand on this some more? And I came back with all the what was the P words that I did for Loki?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you're asked, like, hey, can you dig in? You're like, no, I can't. And then you're like, okay, no, I can. And that was a lot better. You're right. But it was really fun. That was a really good sin.
I do not hate this episode. It's not necessarily my favorite. I don't understand necessarily why there's backlash against it. The only thing I can think is that maybe some people are just tiring of the formula because, I mean, they definitely have a formula with these kind of episodes. In that the Chud stuff was like a real stretch. Like it was just like they're making their episodes more and more like TV shows on interdimensional cable. Like one of the things about interdimensional cable is really fun because it's just these random things, but they get to like completely tear the walls down and just be completely random with that stuff. Well, they're kind of now doing that in the episodes themselves. And I think it's just, they're giving themselves permission to, just be as random as they want. And I don't know, maybe that formula is kind of getting exhausting for some people. I don't know. I thought it was just as funny and enjoyable as the other ones. For me, but the only sin that was mentioned that I had that neither of you mentioned was the sexy sperm queen foreshadowing, and then the portmanteaus that were attempted there. I wanted to draw your attention to how Danae explained to say the second one, which is the SQUEEN
I didn't write the second one.
SXY -ding. And I just put in one of my notes during the process, hey, can I get a little help knowing how you want this pronounced? Danae wrote back, sexy without the E, just like the other sounds.
It's the sound sexy. That's it. It's just like that.
And so I was like, okay. And then I just did whatever I did. And I have no idea if it was anything close to what you were.
It wasn't, but I wasn't about to say anything about it.
It was like, when I asked for pronunciation, what I would like is phonetic pronunciation.
I don't do phonetic pronunciation. I should have sent you audio, but yeah, it was just a like that.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to say
phonetics either? Because sometimes Jeremy or Aaron, or I guess it's mostly Jeremy. Sometimes I know Jeremy did this recently where he's like, I think I'm supposed to enunciate this part because I had enunciated a different part for him, and I was like, sure.
It's so hard for me.
I don't know. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I just think of all the ways I could say it wrong, and if there's a way I could say whatever is spelled wrong, then I need to do it better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I understand.
If there's any way to interpret it two different, could be two different sounds.
People be like, Danae, you should narrate. I'm like, nope, I'm good. Super good.
Just pop in every once in a while.
I had to record an intro on one of our interviews the other day, and it took me like an hour. No, it didn't take me an hour, but it was just ridiculous. Like all I had to say was, "Hey, there's spoilers," and it just took me forever
and you didn't even have to say "squeens."
I over-explain. I just over-explain now.
All right, let's move into music video sins. Masked Wolf, Astronaut in the Ocean.
What is
Bear have
this?
anything to say about this?
He sure did, Aaron, and I'm so prepared for that. You don't even know.
I think I do know, actually. I think I know exactly how prepared you are for that.
I'm so prepared. Just definitely not copying and pasting it over here real quickly. Astronaut in the Ocean is a song I liked as soon as I heard it. I just wanted to stop there.
Yes. Thank you.
Song.
I like Barrett's comments.
Barrett would listen back and be like, Danae, what the hell? It's a song I liked as soon as I heard it. Then I heard it again and again and again, and now I do not like it. The video has an absurd 200 million plus views on the internet website called YouTube. The special effects. It
so
really
funny.
is. I almost lost it, and then when you started laughing, I couldn't recover. Okay, the special effects look like they were created by a drunk Hungarian monk using MS Paint on a computer that used Windows 95. Masked Wolf is a featureless, forgettable rapper. I think it's cool that this song is about mental health. Also, he doesn't believe in thoughts. I was kind of entertained by... Oh, that's Mortal Kombat. Oh.
Okay. Let's see. Jonathan, let's go to you first. Some of your thoughts on the song and your favorite sins.
This is one of those songs where I just feel like an old dude because I got nothing. Like I don't know what this is. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Same.
I don't know what else to say.
You don't have to say anything else. That says it all.
I'm glad people enjoy it. I will defer to you. But yeah, no, I had a couple of sins. I just enjoyed that this video has so many cuts. It makes Taken 3 look like it was directed by Alfonso Cuarón.
I'm not opposed to Alfonso Cuarón's Taken 3. I just want that on the record. My
God. That's what I'm saying. I immediately wanted to see that.
Yes.
And then I just enjoyed the simplicity of this font.
Yeah, that was fun. I feel like, I've got this reputation of digging deeper into song lyrics and all that kind of stuff.
I'm sorry.
No, it's legit. I totally understand. Like,
I'm still thinking about the YouTube comment.
Yeah, that was funny. There are just so many pop songs that just are so fluff and icing and just don't really take an opportunity to mean much at all. This is one of those. I mean, you look at the lyrics in this song, and it's like, let me just read you this.
I will say now Barrett did make some comments about it, the sins about it being about mental health, but I didn't hear that. So I don't know.
Yeah. I didn't, that wasn't in the video itself, was it? That it was about, it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was.
it was.
So I just want to read you this consecutive, list of rhymes. Want a piece of this, a piece of mine, a piece a sign. Can you please read between the lines? My rhymes inclined to break your spine. They say that I'm fine. You could never match my grind. Please do not waste my time. And I just there's rhyming sign with lines, grind, and time with an N, and I just start to go listen, I get it, it just has to have the I sound, and we feel
it's rap rhyme.
Yeah, I totally get it, but there's that pedantic part of me that's like, can we just rhyme actual words? Can we just rhyme actual words?
You guys don't know this, but on Aaron's shelf in the background is the Rhyme Police button that he.
It's true. It's true. It's true.
Yeah, and a certificate as well.
It's like the Staples button.
Yeah.
What is that?
Make it easy.
You know what I'm talking about?
The easy button.
Yeah. You're not rhyming correctly.
Yes. The only thing I picked up on in digging deeper on this is that he is dealing with wanting to find peace and be left alone. That's just kind of, and always feeling like there's, too much going on. Like the world doesn't make sense, that kind of stuff. But it's all very, you could put almost any metaphor on this and it would probably work. But the song itself is catchy. I liked it. I liked us insinuating somebody had a paintball habit. That was probably my favorite Sid. What about you, Danae?
I wrote down one. There was a couple, but I'll just go with this one. The keyboard one. There's this keyboard that's on the ship, and it's it's just a screen that has all of these empty buttons. And so I love that the way that this one is delivered as well. So it's kind of like one of those where if you haven't watched the video, I highly recommend it. But it's a sinning that there's no demarcation on any of the keys. And the sin is really about how astronauts already have a really hard job and having to memorize what all of the buttons that aren't marked reference is just too far. And I just thought that was a really funny kind of twist on that one.
I knew you'd love the button, Sid. As soon as I saw that one, I was like,
oh my God,
wants to push all those buttons.
I do. I definitely do.
All right, let's move into CinemaSins. We will start with Horton.
Wait. I want to say something first.
Okay,
because
sure.
every week, for the past few weeks, I've wanted to say something right at the top of our CinemaSins section.
Okay.
But we have not talked about outtakes moving on the show yet.
Okay, let's do
it. I think everyone at this point knows it, right? But we haven't actually talked about the behind the scenes part of the outtakes now being a completely separate video. And I think it would be kind of interesting, at least to just, even if it's just briefly, kind of just chat about us doing that.
Sure.
I don't know, because we have had outtakes on the ends for so long, and now they're a totally different place. So
we moved the outtakes to a separate video. All right, on to Horton Hears. No, I'm just kidding. Totally kidding. No, you're right. That is a big change.
It feels
that we haven't even addressed. It has to do with percentage of completion, like there's stats that, and there's a fairly low percentage of our audience who watches them.
Yeah, it seems like, so we can see where people stop watching, and it just plummets at the outtakes. And so we thought we would just scoot them over to their own video, and we're going to make our own playlist so that you guys can have a playlist and find all of the outtakes. And they're a pinned comment. You can see them. If you want to find them, you can just scroll down. It's in the description. It's a pinned comment, so everyone can hopefully find them and watch them. But it is weird.
It usually gets tweeted out too.
Yeah.
It's weird to not see, to not see them at the end anymore, because you have to click to see. And we don't talk about them as much anymore because I forget often to just go and watch.
Can I make a prediction?
Well, I'm still not used to it. I get to the end of the video when I'm reviewing, and then I'm like, wait, where are the outtakes? Like, oh, yeah.
I have a prediction, just knowing us as writers. If we think of super, super clever, like, oh, this is just like that movie, this would be hilarious kind of stuff, I bet we start working those into the Sins video. Like the really, like the ones we love, like when we have one where it's like,
that's true.
So instead of like writing as an outtake, we figure out a way to write it as, because we do stuff like that. We'll cut to movie quotes or, different things sometimes. So I just have a prediction that I could be way off, but that our brain will start transferring like our favorites of those into the videos themselves in some ways. I don't know. I could be completely wrong.
No,
but
I
yes.
think we have done it a little, like on a few things we do already. So
yeah,
I don't know. Or maybe the outtakes videos become even longer, where we can have more content that we can put into those. So
I'll never forget the first time I forget, there was a speech in an animated movie. I forget which one it was. And this was back when I was doing some of the editing for the videos. And I spent a good hour editing together the Hangover speech to perfectly, like the speech on the rooftop about, the wolf pack or whatever,
Yeah, it was like a 5-minute outtake.
It was like a 5-minute thing, and I was so proud of it. And everybody was like,
awesome.
"That's not what these are. Like these are not supposed to."
Well,
be
everybody was like, "That is amazing. You're gonna have to cut that to 10 seconds."
Yeah.
So,
and it wasn't 5 minutes, but it was a couple minutes.
It was a minute at least, but however long that speech is, So
because we do our show with a live audience, there's a couple of things we can address real quickly. One of the questions is, or one of the comments is, I'd love if the outtakes weren't an unlisted video, so I don't have to search them out every time.
We're considering all that.
I believe the plan is that we are going to start publishing them. One of the things we don't want to do is just overwhelm everyone's feed. And so you'll have like a Horton Hears a Who and a Horton Hears a Who, and they look really similar and stuff. So we're kind of considering how not to push ourselves in everybody's face all the time.
Like Danae says, when the video gets released, though, there's a pinned tweet, a pinned comment from CinemaSins that'll say, "Here's your outtakes." And then also, I believe Jeremy tweets them out. And beyond that, I don't know. I don't know what we're doing like on Instagram and stuff. But I do know that pinned comment is there.
It is there, but people are correct in that the way most people interact with YouTube is stuff shows up in their feed from the stuff they're subscribed to. They don't search it out. So I totally get that.
I know. I know I'm old, and that's how I do it.
One more thing, just real quick, was are you looking to cause yourself more pain, Danae, by suggesting longer outtakes? I immediately regretted saying that as I said it. So,
yeah, if any of our editors are listening, they're probably like really hating Danae right now. They're like, God,
I think though that like right now there's some people on the team who just are outtake able. They just, for me, I kind of struggle.
Yeah.
I have to go back through and really get into outtake brain. Sometimes it comes super quick, and those are great. But if I'm responsible for coming up with like 6 of them, oftentimes it's a slog for me. But if we, as a team, kind of jump on something and everyone comes up with a few to make a longer video. So anyways, it's just it's something we've been doing for a long time. And now that we've separated it, it's almost become a whole other project in a way. And so we're just picking it up, we're looking at it, we're talking about it. And I just didn't want to avoid us mentioning it here on the show, since that's what the show is about.
Sure. No, I appreciate it.
No, that's a good call.
Let's move into CinemaSins. We'll start with Horton Hears a Who. Jeremy and myself writing on this one. Horton Hears a Who. What did Jeremy have to say?
Jeremy had all kinds of things to say.
I bet he did.
He said, Horton Hears a Who is the best feature-length film made from a Dr. Seuss book. It's better than Cat in the Hat. It's better than the live-action Grinch. It's definitely better than Happy Town Murders. And then in parentheses, he says...
Happy Time, right? Did he put
it says town?
It's Happy Time, but the joke is great either way,
He says that joke. Last one is not a Seuss thing, but I wanted to see if I could trip anyone up. Okay. Good job.
Yep.
I actually personally enjoy this movie. This was the very first film I saw in digital projection at a theater, and I noticed that it wasn't film because there were no artifacts, scratches, or cigarette burns. I was almost as enamored with the digital projection as I was the film. And look, the film is probably just okay, a hair above that maybe, but it has laughs. Specifically the scene where Horton is scrambling up the breaking wood bridge while the mayor of Whoville is at the dentist getting a Novocaine shot. It kills me, especially the moment Horton kind of prances up the bridge as planks of wood falls with every step. The story is dumb as all kinds of hell, but it has a good message. And Seuss was weird, so we just accept massive plot holes. The absolute best sin written here, and in months, if you ask me, is Dicer's Cloverfield movies sin, which takes the literal field of clovers here and puns them all to high heaven. I wanted to quit after the script because this was one where Dicer outwrote me left and right, and it was frustrating to cut so many of my own sins. Curse you, Dicer! Curse you!
Sorry.
But not really. I did want to mention how subdued Jim Carrey is in this movie. I wrote a sin I didn't keep that said, Jim Carrey, of all people, has just disappeared into a role. Because if you didn't know it was him going in, I bet you couldn't guess it was him just from the voice. Anyway, it's a fine/okay film, colorful and fun, if vapid and full of filler.
Way too kind. That's so
Holy
sweet of him
shit,
to say.
you almost made Jeremy quit
Boss
his job.
man quit.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah,
No
I'm
pressure.
Is this I was trying to look it up real quick, but IMDb is such a pain to sort through now. Is this the people that do like Despicable Me and stuff? Is that who this is?
This was Sony, I think.
Is it Sony? Never mind.
I could be wrong about that. That's just by memory.
So this is at the so this isn't even because God, what is that company called? Who does Despicable Me? Who is that?
That is.
I'll look it up.
I can see it in my mind. I just can't.
I just wanted to let you know that I spelled despicable horribly. However,
spelled it despicably.
I spelled it despicably.
Oh, it's
Illumination does
Illumination.
Despicable Me. That's correct.
Because they did Lorax.
Lorax is pretty
I think.
good. I don't think Lorax is terrible.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of yeah.
I will go next since I wrote on this. Yeah, I'm kind of with Jeremy. I think this movie is a lot of fun. It doesn't make sense. It's Dr. Seuss. I get that. I think Jim Carrey and Steve Carell are great in it. I think it's interesting, and we sin it rightfully so, that this movie takes the message of the movie and turns it into a thing about fathers and sons, which is it's just so weird that there's such a powerful message here about the disenfranchised, and this movie is just not really interested in going there. It's more interested in the very pedantic preaching about about the idea of authority. It goes to that place, and then it goes to the father-son place and impressing your dad and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't really hit the main message of the actual book. So yeah, that was interesting to me. But I like the movie. I have a lot of fun with this movie, and I think it's really fun. As far as sins go, I had to mention don't ever put a Katie in charge. Not just this Katie, any Katie. Do
you have a thing against Katie's?
Absolutely not. I just wanted to see what the comments would do, and I was not disappointed.
Yeah. So good.
And then I'm doing this thing with some sins. I call them we're all aware sins, where it's like you start them by saying, okay, we all know, and then the thing you say we all know is something that's obviously not true. And then sending something completely different. And in this case, it was we all know elephant ears are made out of basically the same material as latex. But elephants don't need swim caps, so this is purely performative. That's a fun thing to do. And then I wanted to mention the movie making this weird thing about how they're worth more we're saving because they have kids. And it's just subtle, and it's just right in there, and it just annoyed me. And so, the idea of maybe the message is a person's a person no matter how reproductive. I wanted to mention that as well. And then the running in this house gag about how tiny that house is and then how giant all the rooms are, I thought was funny as well.
Those were good.
And I do think by the way,
callback.
We walk this balance. I do think the movie is making that joke subtly. Like it's a very subtle thing, but it's so subtle that I think we were fine in calling them out for it, kind of thing. So yeah, that was some of the stuff I enjoyed from this one. Jonathan, why don't you go next?
Because I have a kid that enjoyed this movie. I've seen this movie way too many times to say I like it anymore.
Sure, I understand
that. It was fine for a while. No, but it's fine. No, it's a perfectly fine movie. Somebody a couple people in the comments mentioned it's Blue Sky that did this, which is Fox, which sadly doesn't exist anymore because Disney was like, screw you. But they did like the Peanuts movie and whatnot. Rio. It's fine. It's a perfectly fine movie. And I think Jeremy's right. As far as Dr. Seuss adaptations, it's definitely up there because most of them are pretty terrible. I never really thought about, I guess I have thought about this before, but are these supposed to be the same Who's that are dealing with the Grinch too?
I think it was just his go-to like human human. You know, like I think who's are humans. Like, yeah, I think it's just his go-to representation for us.
They have to deal with a lot, man. They got elephants and Grinches but no, yeah, and the voice cast is good, and it's a really nice looking movie. So yeah, no, it's fun. It's fine. Just, you know, watch it once and then move on and you'll be fine. As far as the sins, I just loved the leaf bug surviving this sin, because it was like the leaf bug survives this and this right as it's like
but you
eaten.
don't see them survive it until like a couple sins later, and you're like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And then I loved the making fun of the Henry Kissinger reference, where it was like, a Henry Kissinger reference? Are you fucking joking? Even the parents who brought their kids to this movie are too young for a Henry goddamn Kissinger reference. And yep, that's true. And then you mentioned did you mention the creationism versus evolutionism? I feel like somebody already said that. Oh, okay. I loved that. It was the guy says something like, these condos don't build themselves. Hey, look at that. They do build themselves. And then the sin was creationism versus evolutionism debates, which was perfect.
Yeah. Yep.
But no, it was a really funny video, though. I really enjoyed it, especially because it was only 15 minutes. I loved that.
The Rube Goldbergs at the very beginning were a lot of fun. Just the sinning, how impossible it would be for any of this like nature Rube Goldberg stuff to actually work. I love this entire video, by the way. This was one where when I was watching, I was like, oh shit, I'm going to have a lot on this one, because it was just so fun. Jeremy's delivery was really fun, and the sins were really clever. And a couple times you have to stop and think about it and then chuckle, which is really good. So anyway, there was this one about Googling the physics of the cartoon, but then Google returning the search that says, you're that Jeremy guy from CinemaSins, aren't you? Was a really delightful twist of just making fun of ourselves. There's a moment when the elephant Horton sucks pond water out of the pond in order for the little speck of dust to like continue to go on floating. And the sin was he sucks about 1,000 gallons of water out, but that the water doesn't ever come down. Ever. Just like the concern for that, followed by also dysentery. Was so good. There is another one where the narrator reads some of the words that were on the page, and it was just, you know, garbledy-gook verbiage.
Yeah.
But listening to Jeremy read Clerk Maxwellia switch off the machines ranging from ognognuscal variety was really, really fun.
Yeah.
But the one that just killed me, like genuinely I stopped and I just laughed for a while, was when the dad goes to get water for all of like the 90-some children, and he's made this water pyramid out of cups. So he has like all these cups and they're in this pyramid and he's carrying them on trays, and it's ridiculousness, right? And the sin is just the hero is to 2 cups in the middle. And the sin is literally just these 2 cups. And I just lost it because of all of the things to sin, of this insane moment of this dad carrying this tray, 2 trays of 90-some cups of water, just to find the 2 that make the least amount of sense, because nothing is supporting them.
Yeah.
It's just, it was so funny. Oh my God, it was so good. It's Sin 77. Go fucking watch it. Okay, that's it.
That's fun.
Oh my God.
All right, there's Horton Hears A Who. Let's move on to Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
The one from this year. The Mortal Kombat from this year. This was a Chris Barrett script. So what did they have to say about Mortal Kombat?
I'll tell you. Barrett says, I was kind of entertained by Mortal Kombat the first time I watched it, just because I liked the game growing up, and even kind of liked the 1995 version, which I saw in the Harding Mall Theater with my cousin Lee, who wore a Spawn t-shirt and at the time sported a very handsome mullet.
I've been to that theater, Harding Mall 6.
Upon further review, this version is enjoyable, but that's a but with 2 T's, not like but ... It was like, it's enjoyable ass is what he was saying. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
Josh Lawson is having much more fun than the rest of the cast, probably because he's Australian. Joe Taslim is a great martial arts actor, but only has 1 fight that shows that off. And the rules of the tournament are very silly, which I'm sure will be detailed by Chris. There are lots of fucks and CGI blood for some reason. And that is what Mr. Barrett had to say. Chris said, Mortal Kombat is one of the longest Sins scripts we've ever written. Typically, we'd cut 30 or so to make something like this a little bit more manageable for everybody, but we couldn't find many. Sometimes you cut 25 or 30 or so, and you cut something that you really like, but it's not important to the overall script. I looked over our final script a couple times, and I couldn't find anything really. Is it that bad? No, but welcome to why the sin counts don't really matter. The most disappointing thing about the movie is that it sets up a fighting tournament that never materializes. I understand the need to be different from the first movie, but the lack of structure in setting up the fights makes this movie go all over the place. Sin's thoughts. I thought Jack's off-screen journey to Raiden's temple was a weird thing. Some background. Apparently Raiden sent Liu Kang to find Earth's fighters for the tournament, but was having a super hard time finding them. But just when Jax gets his arms torn off by Sub-Zero in an abandoned factory and left for dead there, apparently Liu Kang found him. Why couldn't they find him before then? Now, I wrote a long thing about Liu Kang dragging an armless Jax out of an abandoned factory, dragging him into an airport and flying him out to Raiden's temple without anyone noticing. But I suppose after Liu Kang found him, Raiden could just zap them there. The problem with that kind of thinking is that Raiden should be able to find these fighters on his own and transport them to the temple at a moment's notice. He shows all sorts of convenient powers throughout the movie, but we are never told how the rules work or how Jax got there, so we're free to come up with anything we want when we sin it. Honestly, everything from informing Earth's fighters there's a tournament that we must win is a complete mystery in this movie. Everyone is lazy about finding and training the people, and then Raiden gets mad at them for not being trained enough. Who the fuck is supposed to do what to prepare the fighters, and how much time do they think they have to do it? I think my favorite of the sins that I wrote is when Cole has a vision while he's in the bathroom. One that is fairly similar to what Gandalf has when he almost touches the One Ring and sees the Eye of Sauron. So, oh shit. To have a vision like this, Cole must have touched the one sink of Sauron. Was a delight.
So good
to come
so
up with.
Good.
That was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. This movie, man. I actually respect a lot of what they're doing in this movie. I respect that they're trying to treat the source material with a little more of an adult vibe because the source material was violent. I feel like it honors that in some ways. I don't mind the one-liner nature of it so much. Like, it's a property that kind of plays itself to, like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You get where that line's from for the fans. But the plot and the character work in this is just so all over the place. And it's like the people in this movie, they aren't all in the same movie. There's two movies going on here. Some of the characters are in, almost comedic send up, and some of the characters are trying to do actual drama, and it doesn't go together very well. So yeah, this is a very messy movie that I still respect in some ways. For those things, as far as sins goes, calling his weapon a stabby yo-yo is just inspired. I loved that. You mentioned the one sink of Sauron. I love sins where the writing is just like, it takes everything at face value in a way that is ridiculous. And there's one sin, I forget exactly what it's about because I just wrote down the punchline, but it's what's the infrastructure? And that just slayed me for some reason, where you're going through all this stuff and it's like, how would this work? What's the infrastructure? And that line just slayed me. And then the other line that slayed me was just like the brochure promises. I died at that one as well.
I loved that one.
Yeah.
That one is about, I wrote that one down because that one's about like the gardening spade, that this guy picks up the gardening spade and uses it to, just start murdering people. And it's like, man, this gardening spade cultivates your garden, reshapes your garden bed, and splits dude's head open, just like it promised in the brochure.
Yep, so good.
It's so funny.
Yeah. Why don't you continue, Danae? Any thoughts on the movie or the sins themselves?
Well, just being confused, I wanted to say too, just for those who keep track of these things, I have never seen Horton Hears a Who or this one, so there you go.
Nice. There you go. Drink twice.
So I'm again watching it like,
I'm shocked you haven't seen this one. I thought this would.
This one's right up my alley.
You'd already watched it like 4 times.
This morning. Yeah. It's one that I have on speed watch. So I'm watching it trying to figure out what this movie's about while it's being sinned. So that's always an interesting experience. But there was we're on the precipice of victory and taking Earthrealm forever, but we must strike now. This idea that this bad guy is constantly saying, we've got to do this right now. And there's several sins where Barrett and Chris kind of go at the idea of they're so intense about everything has to happen in this moment, right this moment, and they keep sinning it. But on this one, it was the way that the narrator says, now, you hear me? Not those nows that I've already mentioned over the last several days. Now, like starting now. I thought that was really cleverly done.
Yes.
There's a moment when they're talking about the tournament's number being number 10, and the way that the narrator is like, oh no, not the 10th tournament, anything but that. The 10th tournament's so special. I mean, it's 10. It's the number 10, guys. I loved it. But the one that got me was about porn. Of course, it says he's about to get his soul sucked is the lead in. And then the sin is, I hate it when someone has the upper hand in a fight and gets distracted by porn. It's just funny. Just fun stuff. Good stuff.
That's great stuff. Jonathan, what about you?
I did see this. I hated it very, very much. I think this movie's terrible. This is something I'm really just getting annoyed with in these universe building franchises anyways, where we have to have this first movie that's really nothing other than just setup. It's like just this giant budgeted pilot
setup.
To a television show. No, and it's not even good setup. It's not even interesting. I mean, if you have interesting setup, I guess maybe I'll ignore it. But I still just like, this doesn't feel like its own story. No. This feels like a pre-story to something that's going to happen. And I'm sorry, you cannot have a Mortal Kombat movie without a tournament. I mean, I have no interest in it. I mean, if there's anything I'm coming to this for, it's to see the crazy tournament. And maybe that's on me and that's a me thing, but whatever. I mean, that made me really dislike this movie. And everything Aaron said is correct. It's messy as hell. It doesn't make any sense. The character building's weird. And the performances are fine, but I mean, I don't know that anybody had a chance. I just thought this movie was terrible. As far as the video, though, it was great. All 27 minutes of it, I loved it. But seriously though, it does you can't judge like how bad the movie is to the people writing it based on the amount of time, especially when you compare it to like the early videos where a lot of those are like 6 to 10 minutes, you know. So I thought I was like, that's crazy, but it was well worth it because everything they pointed out was really interesting. Danae already mentioned the gardening spade stuff. I thought that was hilarious. So I did like when they introduced, I think it's Chung Lao. Is that right? I don't know. I never played this game, by the way, so I don't have like any connection to this universe. That would be a really important
part. It's like watching World of Warcraft movie or something and being like, oh, this is, my God, it's so and so. But in World of Warcraft, you don't get to play those characters. But in Mortal Kombat, you get to play the characters. So
they all have catchphrases and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, somebody in the chat corrected me. Thank you. It's Kung Lao. When they introduced Kung Lao, though, it's oh good, glad this guy could get such an awesome character introduction. We should probably play that Alan Parsons Project song "Serious" whenever this dude shows up on screen. I thought that was really funny, and I just loved the thing at the end. There's like that. I don't remember. It was towards the end, and it was just the sin was. Oh yeah, I remember this level from the video game where you can fight a gently used double wide in Gary, Indiana. One of my faves.
So good. So very good. All right, let's move into keeping tabs.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
We'll talk about some more stuff from the behind the scenes, putting together the content. I'll go first and talk a little bit about a couple things from Horton Hears A Who, because I did some research.
Horton Hears A Who.
I wanted to turn the elephant is faithful 100%, quote from Horton Hears A Who, which is one of the most famous ones, on its head with the elephant adultery idea. And then there was a callback in the script to it as well. And so I was like, I have to know, are elephants monogamous? And they are not. They are very much not.
Cheating bastards.
I did the elephants are faithful is just a lie. They are unfaithful.
Maybe they're faithful to their friends. Like like maybe they're friends with all of their female,
Sure. Little polyamory, a little
yeah. They're faithful to
a little
themselves.
pack-a-poly.
Yeah, pack-a-poly. That's it. That's the one.
There you go.
Elephant
and
hose.
then the other one I had to mention was the sin was the Eustachian conveyance fallacy. And this was one of those instances where I was like, cartoons always do this thing where you blow something in one ear and it comes out the other. And I'm like, that is not true. It could never happen. And I was like, I wonder if there's a term for that. There is not. So I thought I will invent one. So I looked up what that passageway was called. And the Eustachian tube is technically an opening that connects the middle ear with the nasal sinus cavity. So the Eustachian tube actually goes from the ear to the sinuses. Well, then the other sinuses, are kind of connected. It would have to go back through the Eustachian tube through the other ear. There's not a way for all that transfer to happen, so it cannot convey from one ear to the other. So now it is known as the Eustachian conveyance fallacy, and that is an official title that I made up that is now real. So there you go. That's the Eustachian.
That's amazing.
Fallacy. So yeah. What about you guys?
I didn't really have much. I only worked on Rickdependence spray. Is that what it was? Something like that. But the Rick and Morty episode. And I thought about Googling, does Las Vegas have this much spermicide? But I just found that would not be a good use.
I think the answer is yes.
What do
my
you
Google
mean?
time. Also, funny story about that. I love how I just called it straight up semen. It was like, I was right. I love some of these notes we have to comments. We have notes we have to leave for the editors. I feel like a weirdo because I'm like, can we show a little bit of the actual semen being sprayed so the sin makes more sense? And then Danae comes in and is like, yeah, the spermicide. I was like, I probably should have said that. But
the things we have to write.
It's just insane because it was like, I guess initially, like we didn't really see them spraying it. We just saw them talking at the top. So I was like, well, people aren't going to know what that is. We have to show the spermicide, people.
We do. We have to show the spermicide, not the sperm.
It's dire.
The spermicide.
Yes.
Which you have to clarify in the show.
And then I did go read a bunch of, once I found out people hated it, I did read a bunch of IMDb reviews, and then I realized that this is why I don't read IMDb reviews, because they're not good. But, whatever. But I didn't really have to look up anything. It was all pretty,
nice.
Just
a normal
sexual
day of
confusion sense. Yeah.
Danae, you wrote on both the Rick and Mortys. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about?
Yeah. So I found myself on Dooney and Burke's website, and also on Legatska. I can't remember the name of the site, but I was looking up handbag information because I sinned the fact that in a world of aliens that have what seems to be sexual orifices and sexual breasts, or breasts that are very sexual on their elbows, I wouldn't think that you would have the same style of purses as humans do. And I really thought about this too much because if you have and purses, there's different sizes of purses and there's different lengths of purses. And so I wanted to make sure that I was identifying them by kind of their official titles. So on Dooney and Burke's website, they talked about things called the strap drop length, which is the length between the strap and then the opening of the bag. And then on Legatska's website, I found the definition of handbags because there's obviously there's baguettes and barrel bags and bucket bags and clutch bags and pouch or coin purses, cosmetics bag, crossbody, drawstring, east or west, eco-friendly, embossed envelope clutch, evening bags, fanny packs, flat bags, faux leather, grommets, hobos, jackards, leathers, nappas, North Stars, organizers, patents, satchel, shoppers, shoulders, slings, suede, top grain, and tote and wristlets.
Wow.
I know. And I had no idea that there were that many or that you have to define them by all of these measurements. So I ended up going on this really crazy bunny trail to figure out what the type of bags were on screen versus making sure I understood the terminology, all to sin that I believe with confidence that those aliens would probably prefer crossbody bags. I'm just going to say that unless they really like to just chafe their elbows stuff a lot. And I'm sticking beside that. So that was for one. And then for the other, I did look up information about the strength it would take to bite off a finger. And we can talk about this just for a bit because it's all over the comments. And I love that. But it was something that was discussed in the writing process. And I believe Aaron actually looked it up too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we decided to sin it anyway because it happens instantly. There's no struggling moment of Morty to rip off this finger. And obviously it's animation. There's this, epic sequence happening in front of us, and they're not going to try to be very realistic about that. I get that. But that's kind of the fun part to sin, is that it instantly, like a hot dog, just comes apart. When in actuality, it does take a little bit of effort. And yes, we can do that. And I think actually Aaron was the one that linked me to a really interesting
there's a scientific study like that on
the website that you linked me to. I did my own research, but then the one that you linked me to is what I'm going to talk about. Bondmeout.com. Bondmeout.com. This is a woman's fingertip bitten off over a fight over shoes. So the first part of this...
Oh, the article of it happening.
The article,
yes. Yeah.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. The article is about this woman that was arrested and she bit off someone's finger. And the last paragraph just very briefly says, in fact, it takes just about 200 newtons, which is a unit of force, to bite through a raw carrot. And the average human has a bite force somewhere between 520 and 1100 or 1178 newtons. In 1956... tests were conducted on cadavers to determine the force needed to successfully sever a finger, and scientists discovered it takes about 1,400 newtons just to cause fractures. That's right, fractures to the bone, tendon, skins, and our nails beef up our fingers more than you can imagine. Anyway, it kind of goes on for there. There's something about the jaw and blah, 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 blah. So there are studies but it doesn't happen that quickly. And that is why we sinned it. And I stand very firmly behind that sin.
I stand behind it as well.
And I'm also very confused about that day that you as a scientist or a doctor go into the office and you're informed that on this day in 1956, you're going to be biting cadaver fingers just to see if, just guys, we just need to know, can someone rip off a finger with their teeth? And they did it. So
I stand behind it as well. And one thing I wish I would have known is how prevalent the urban legend about the carrots is. How many people believe that is true?
It was so instant.
There's an urban legend that it takes the same strength to bite through a carrot that it does to bite off a finger, but we can't do it because our brain sends a signal to our mouth not to let us do it. Like, this is a common, apparently, urban legend. I did not realize how common it was and how many people have heard that and just taken it as truth, we would have addressed it in the sin, I think, if we knew it was that common.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's just all over
but
that
it's
one.
Complete urban legend. It literally takes at least 7 times the amount of force to bite through a finger than it does.
And they said, too, in this particular article, just a quick reference, and again, there's other articles that I looked at just to have confidence, 1,485 newtons to cause a fracture, and our bite force is somewhere between 520 and 1178. So it would take an effort to chomp, 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 yank off a finger, not just go carrot off of a finger.
Right. Our bite force is about 1,200 newtons, and to bite through a finger is about 1,500 newtons. So you can tell it's going to take our entire...
It's going to happen, but it's going to take effort to have that happen,
exactly. Yeah.
Which we didn't see in Rick and Morty. So.
Yep. That's just one of those things. People believe something that they've heard and they just, they think it's true. And so, it was interesting. Like, every other comment was, did you know you could actually bite through a carrot the same as a finger? And it's like, did you know you're wrong? It's like,
I think the last year and a half, though, has showed us that, people don't believe crazy things. So I don't know what you're talking about.
We're not susceptible at all.
I do appreciate in the chat someone saying, Danae, I don't think they were biting. Just testing the Newton measurement to sever a finger.
Yes, I think that is probably true.
That is not how it went in my imagination, though. And you don't.
In today's
once it's in my imagination,
do all this stuff. Yeah,
it's like it's there forever. Just
theory,
them like, okay, guys, 1, 2, 3.
In Danae's world, there are no crash test dummies. Actual scientists sit in the cars and get in accidents to test the.
No, I know about the dummies.
All right, let's move into comment section.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
My comment section was on carrots and fingers. So that and the taking a sin off for the heart-wrenching voice acting, and just the people really were moved by that. And I am so with Ian. I don't understand how you can be moved by the show. I don't get it. Like, I am an emotional person, and I can't connect to any of these completely non-existent caricatures. Like, it's just, I don't know. I didn't even feel it watching the episode. Like, I get, like, there was a moment, but I didn't feel anything. I don't know. It's a weird one for me, but apparently a lot of people do. So, yeah.
Which scene was it?
The scene where he has to say goodbye to Planetina. Like, there's, like, it really tries to effort his
that
response.
Episode. I didn't watch the episode.
Yeah. So.
I just watched the video.
Yeah.
So.
I actually really liked that part of that episode because it's again him standing up for himself and like his own value, which is really interesting to kind of think about. And I understand that, but I also liked Planetina being like, fuck you, just leaving. I really enjoyed that. And I think that the people who talked about like the making of that episode, they had gone around to try to figure out who was going to break up with who. And they ultimately decided that it needed to be Morty. So that was interesting.
Yeah. Danae, what about you?
I wrote down a couple of comments because I think that's the rules, but I don't remember.
Rules. So
when the sin was about Beth washing her gloves in the sink at the beginning of the Rickdependence, the sperm monster one. Okay. So Jay Burton says, I should say this. The sin was about washing your gloves before you throw them in the trash. So you're washing the blood off of gloves. And then why would you do that was the sin. Jay Burton says to remove excess liquid biological material so that it has less likelihood of pluming and spreading any bacteria around the room when the bin is opened again at a later time. The next person, whose name is Don't Mind Me Not Having a Profile Picture, responds and says, still didn't wash her hands though, which is true. And then Aaron responds, this is a cool thing I did not know now. Thank you. So that's cool. Didn't know that. Good point. Didn't research it. Didn't think I needed to. But maybe that person was like a medical training. I don't know. It makes sense, I suppose.
Sure.
And then Sam Morris said, Morty has 2 kids and he's only 14. And I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
Jonathan, what about you?
So in that same episode of Rick and Morty, I wrote a sin about how could Morty have sex with the Bojacker, as we already talked about, because it was, he was like head level with the
entrance.
God damn it, this episode with the entry.
Yes.
And then Dominic Da Vinci made a comment, Bojacker, which I love that they called it the Bojacker, has an adjustable mount. Check the springs beneath it. So Morty would simply adjust it to get it to lower the Morty Jr. level. Don't you agree? I didn't put that much thought into it. I'm glad you did, and I'll take the loss there. I'm good. I'll take the 0.
There was also somebody that like, have you never heard of a chair? And I'm like, the sin is still that, like, what an effort. What effort had to be. I had the same thought. I was like, is he going to hang off the top of it? Like, what's he planning on doing here? Just sort of like, anyway.
And then they didn't show us.
Why wouldn't they show us?
Listen,
my God.
there were anatomy sin opportunities galore there that we stayed away from. The idea that something meant to have horses ejaculate would even work on a human, it's just, the pressure points are probably at different places based on the length of appendages. Like, we just didn't need to go into all those places. So yeah, it's all there.
For sure.
All right, let's move into Beyond the Sin.
To infinity and beyond.
Somewhere beyond my wild history.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Let's chat about something else from the pop culture world that you've seen recently. Danae, why don't you kick us off this time?
I'm skipping. I haven't been watching jack shit, and I haven't been playing anything.
Okay. Jonathan, what about you?
I watched on Amazon Prime, I guess it was last weekend, they released a film called Jolt. Have you seen this, Aaron?
I haven't watched it, no.
Okay. So I'm just fascinated in general that there's this whole because, John Wick has already had 3 movies. And then all of a sudden this year we have these this slew of vendetta films, these people that, something's happened to somebody and they're going to go on a killing spree. Nobody. I haven't seen Gunpowder Milkshake, but I get the impression that's kind of what that movie is too.
Definitely.
So this is kind of in that vein. This is Kate Beckinsale plays a character that has this insane like rage problem. Like she has something going on. I don't even know if they really give it an explanation because it probably doesn't exist. But basically, if she's set off at all, she'll just kill your ass. So she has this vest with a bunch of electrodes on it. And she will manually shock herself whenever she gets an urge. And so that kind of helps her going. And then she ends up, she's in like therapy and trying to work through all this. And she finally meets this guy that she kind of likes. And then he turns up dead. This is all like in the first like 10 or 15 minutes.
Wow.
And then so she decides to go vestless and just start killing everybody that had anything to do with, trying to figure out why this guy was killed that she met like 2 days before. It is ridiculous. It is silly. It's a ridiculous premise, but Kate Beckinsale definitely outperforms. She elevates the material.
Nice.
And
she Beckinsales it.
She does, really. She does. She's so good at it. I hadn't seen her in much lately, so it was kind of nice just to see her back in a starring role. Yeah. And she definitely makes it worth watching. It's not great. I haven't seen Nobody or Gunpowder Milkshake, unfortunately, so I can't compare them to those. But it's definitely not as good as any of the John Wick movies. But it's fun. It's a fun time.
What?
I thought.
Hey, guess what? Shock.
Well, yes.
I started watching Gunpowder Milkshake.
Oh wow!
Nice.
But
you didn't finish it.
No. Did you not finish it because it was so violent, or did you just get bored, or what?
Life happens and I'm like, I guess I'll come back to this later. Probably. No, I haven't.
I'm counting this as your Beyond the Sins, by the way. We're putting this down.
I still have this, by the way. I've had an hour of Tomorrow War to watch since for 4 weeks ago.
No,
I understand this.
I started I think where I got to the point, maybe the halfway point, so I'm really not sure where it's going or what the point is to it, But I will say this. It is very confident in its music. Its music thinks that this thing is epic as fuck. And so you're watching it
nice.
Wow, the music is telling me that something incredibly interesting is happening right now. And I'm not sure that I agree with that. There's a mystery to solve, in a way, I suppose, at the very beginning with, well, who is she? Why is she this way? And maybe where is this important person to her? And does that matter? Mm-hmm. But I don't know that it's that. It's very confident that it's very interesting. I just obviously am not that interested enough to return to it.
Well, I'll take Atomic Blonde over both these movies. But
see, I am not a fan of Atomic Blonde.
I love that movie so much.
There is something so off-putting about that movie. It's something about the. I like the people in it. It's Charlize Theron.
That's who it was. Yeah.
And who's the other girl that's in it?
I don't remember.
Oh my God, that's gonna kill me. But I didn't. I was excited about Atomic Blonde, and something about it just didn't jibe with me. But yeah. So Jolt's fun. I don't really have much else to say. I will say this. I'm still curious why people keep casting Jai Courtney. I'll never understand this, but Jai Courtney's in this. He's very Jai Courtney. There's also a twist towards the end, which was kind of dumb. So I'm sorry, not dumb. Did I say dumb?
Silly. There's the word silly.
There's a twist towards the end that was just not needed, I don't think.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's a perfectly fine time. It's especially in the summer and it's hot outside. You don't want to go outside. Watch Jolt. And Kate Beckinsale just, kicking ass is worth 80 minutes of your time.
Nice. I'm going to talk about the Olympic coverage for my Beyond the Sins. We're about a week into the Olympics as we record this. And I think it was in the outtakes last time, me talking about how interesting the Olympics are to me, that I find myself getting invested. I think the broadcasting of the Olympics has been... they haven't adjusted with the times yet, and it's very frustrating. They're doing all this primetime coverage of stuff that happened the night before, because obviously it's a different time zone, right? And they're broadcasting it on a 3 to 4 hour chunk where they're hitting the highlights and showing the big races, as if they're just kind of cutting two things which is fine. I get that I get the reason that that's the way it's been done, and I've enjoyed that before. I think that's a perfectly fine way to experience it, but I don't watch live television anymore. So like it's one of those things where I went to Peacock, where they have a lot of their Olympics coverage on Peacock, and I got very excited because they had like all the sports listed at the top where you could like click through. But when you click on them, it just had like, oh, here's an interview with this person. Here's, an event replay of this. And I was just thinking, man, how much would it rock if you had access to, like, let's say you wanted to watch the archery and you clicked on archery and it was just like the tournament bracket and it was like, okay, I'll watch this match, that the USA was in, and then I'll watch their next match. And it's just nothing like that. And I'm just like, there's an opportunity to really explore the Olympics digitally on their streaming service that I think they could have really taken advantage of, and I just don't feel like they did it very well. I was very disappointed in the digital aspect of what they're doing with the Olympics. There's stuff there. There are matches there. Like, there are replays there of some of the stuff. But I just wanted it organized in a way where it's like, let's say I wanted to do a deep dive on table tennis, right? Like, I could watch our table tennis player and how they did in their first match and how they did in their second, like that's really interesting to me. Not just, oh, hey, here's the gold medal match replay, or, here's the thing that we know people care about. Because on primetime coverage, they're just going to do swimming, gymnastics, and track and field. And that's pretty much in basketball. And that's pretty much what it's going to be.
Some of it live, though, I think on cable, because other stations show it, like MSNBC or somebody like that will show it during the day. Yeah.
Like, but again, it's not the live part that I'm disappointed, because I don't watch live television. So it's like, I could go on and what's live right now? Oh, beach volleyball is live right now. I guess I can watch that. But it's just it's one of those things where the ability to really dig down and explore something just isn't there. And it could be.
Aaron doesn't watch live television. Sometimes in the Slack, he'll be like, could you guys not talk about the NBA game? Because I'm going to watch that later.
That is not what I say. That is not how I approach it. But yes, you're right. The spirit of what you say is true. Yes.
I've watched very little of the Olympics, but I haven't watched it on Peacock. I just watch it because I've still got cable. So I watch it on NBC or whatever. I did watch some of I don't know which skateboarding section it was, because I don't know much about skateboarding. I don't know if they were calling it was the tricks, but it was like this. Yeah. I got invested in it because this 12-year-old girl had the chance to be the youngest person to ever win a gold medal, and she didn't. Right. But she did really well. But it was like, I was at first like, they made skateboarding an Olympic sport, but it's actually pretty fascinating to watch them.
It
because
really is.
I've never been into skateboarding, so I don't know much about it. But like, they were doing They were jumping up on a rail, like a stair rail, and trying to slide down, and they weren't all making it. I mean, which was kind of painful to watch, because it was like, oh no, but they would get back up. So I guess they were good. But that was kind of fun. But I haven't watched a lot just because I don't know. I don't have a problem with the Olympics in any way, shape, or form. It's just, for some reason, it's never really interested me that much. I was fascinated to see how the basketball would rebound after they had that loss to France, which they destroyed Iran, it looked like. But I don't know if they've played since then.
Yeah.
But anyways,
so the Olympics coverage, I think, could use some work beyond just how it's always been. Here's 3 hours of highlights, that kind of thing on our primetime coverage kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I for a split second, I foresaw a world that was really interesting digitally, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So yeah, there you go. Well, that is let's see. Jonathan had Jolt on Amazon Prime. I had the Olympics on Peacock and NBC, and Danae had Gunpowder Milkshake on Netflix.
No, I didn't.
She loved it.
She loved it. It was one of her favorite
recommendations.
No.
That's going to wrap it up for Behind the Sins this week. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed, and go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. If you've got anything you want to send us, you can mail it to us, P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri 65738. You can hang out with us on Twitter. I'm at Aaron Dicer. She is at Danae Says.
DENEESAYS.
And he is at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Danae Hughes, a giant space incest baby, and myself, we will see you next week.
Happy International Traffic Light Day.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com. And be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/BTS.
I don't know why I do the things I do. I don't even know what makes it into the final show.
Oh, hello. How does somebody have 5 cities already? How are there 2 tribes that already have 5 cities? What is up with these crazy bots?
I don't fucking know.
I need to watch these crazy bots in action.
I am questioning my ability to play this game on a regular basis at this point.
Come on, boys.
I'm going out tonight, feeling alright, gonna let it all hang out. The best thing about being a woman is to be back to have a little fun.
Tanae, is that the best thing about being a woman? Are those lyrics true?
No, the best thing about being a woman is using tits to get what you want. Duh.
Okay, well, fair enough.
That actually is something I've never intentionally done, although I have my suspicions that has helped me get out of certain things. Tickets specifically.
So the best thing about being a woman are the privileges that come with the physical allures of being a woman.
I don't know. No, best thing about being a woman is our periods. They're fucking delightful.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You haven't lived until you sneezed and felt part of your insides gush out of your vagina. You just haven't lived.
I'm never gonna live. I'm never gonna live. So unfortunate. It's an honest answer, and I think, like, if I were to say the best part of being a man,
I don't think that's the best part of being a woman, though.
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it probably is either. But there is a level where you could say, if you look at it one way, the best part of being a man is just privilege, right? Like, there's a gender privilege that comes with being a man. Mm-hmm. That's a cynical way to look at it. Like, I know you were joking, but there's the cynicism that comes with, I have built-in power just because I was born a certain gender.
I don't think that's true, though. I was just being stupid.
Yeah, no, I know. But it's still an interesting conversation to have.
Sure. Based on my knowledge of my guy friends, I think the best part about being a guy would be peeing. It's so
a pretty good part.
Easy to pee.
Having
you can pee
an external
anywhere you want to pee, and it can be discreet.
Oh, that's not true.
You could discreetly pee just about anywhere you wanted to. Now, there's going to be consequences, of course, depending on where. Like, if you wanted to pee in the middle of a plane, that probably would get you in trouble. But you have such an easy way of, like, evacuating. It's so
we can excrete discreet.
There was some, like, I don't remember what this was on. It was like a TV show. It was like The Practice or Law and Order. It was some lawyer thing, and like this guy got put on a sexual predator list because he peed at an elementary school. Like, I wonder if that's possible. Like, if you got caught.
Yes. Sure.
Like drunk and peeing outside of an elementary school, like even if it was at night.
I was like, how does that work again? He was outside or something.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. No, he was in the bathroom at the elementary school.
So what? I was confused.
I just caught that. That's hilarious.
What do you think, based on your assumptions of your female friends, would be one of the benefits?
So, yeah, I think according to, like, specifically the women in my life,
observational, personal
there's not a lot of great things about being a woman.
No, it sucks so bad.
I think breasts are one of them. I've heard that before. Like, having breasts is not even just to use them in the way you were talking about, but, like, they're fun to have.
They're not.
But they're not. No, you're right. They're not.
They're heavy things you carry on your chest all the time that fuck up your spine. They suck.
This is going to sound strange, but being honest,
you should be.
The one thing that, like, I feel like would be amazing about being a woman that I will never experience is having a child. That seems like an incredible.
I'm good with that.
No, I get it. Like, it's not the pain that I would be looking forward to, but the idea of growing a human inside of me delivering that human, and then that human needing like a part of my body for, you know, life, and like there's a connection that my wife has to my kids that I will never have.
Yeah.
Because of that. And
Yeah.
that's okay. So that may not be like the ultimate best thing about being a woman, because that defines women as only childbearers. But
I would say that I do wonder if one of the things, the perks would be, observationally, if people want to open up, it's easier to talk to a woman than a man sometimes.
Yeah.
So like observationally, Aaron and I working together, if someone wants to start up a conversation, they come to me to start a conversation. They don't go to Aaron to start conversations a lot. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anything like that, though, it's weird, though, right? Because the second you start talking about gender in anything that's non-physical, it becomes the way we perceive gender, right? Like it becomes.
Well, I'm talking more about No, I know.
I mean, when you're talking about like you get to pee standing up, that's a physical difference that literally is just a man thing. When I talk about giving birth, that is literally a physical difference that is a man-woman thing.
The other thing is perception.
Everything else is perception, and everything else plays into gender stereotypes and, you know, gendered language and. So yeah, it's an interesting thing
So maybe
to think
one
about.
of the cool parts about being a woman would be that it's more acceptable to wear nail polish and makeup, for example. Like it's more like you don't have to fight for your right to wear, you know, nail polish.
And on the other side, one of the best things about being a man is you never even have to worry about that.
No,
you never have to put on makeup or nail polish if you don't want to.
I'm saying that because there's a little boy and little girl. And the little boy likes to wear dresses and wear nail polish like his sister. And he's already getting family shame for it from other people in the family.
Sure.
And I was just thinking about him going, let's say that as he grows up, and they're not even giving him pronouns, but I'm saying them for the ease of conversation. As he grows up, he wants to wear makeup and he wants to wear dresses and still be identified as a male, or he identifies as something completely different. Like, that journey is far more acceptable if he was just a female. So that could be something that someone would say. It's so much easier because if I wanted to wear whatever I wanted to wear and I was a woman, I wouldn't have to explain that. But flip that over, as a woman, sometimes you have to explain why you don't wear makeup too. So we should all just stop talking about each other anyway. But I just want to pee standing up. That's the only thing I wanted to talk about.
Well, I mean, technically you can, but I don't know. I don't know how messy that would be.
That's true. No, you're right. You're not wrong. I practice in the shower, so I do know I have a good aim.
It doesn't even have to be that extreme, though. I mean, I got made fun of for reading Agatha Christie when I was a kid. So I mean,
you did? Aw.
Yeah, oh yeah. I got called like, what are you, an old woman? I don't know.
Agatha Christie is great.
Yeah, I got called the F word in high school all the time.
Really?
Like,
I never got called that. I don't think. I don't think I've ever been called that, actually.
Really?
Maybe.
My love of theater, like, you know, it's just the gendered stuff, man. It's, you know, and I was much more open emotionally, and, you know, surprise, surprise.
To me, it's interesting because I'm a new parent, and I'm also newly aware of how important it is to be careful how you define things. I learned this in massage therapy school in an interesting way. Like, for example, you never comment on someone's appearance in massage therapy as their therapist, because you never know what's triggering for them. And being naked on someone's table is a very vulnerable place to be. And so you need to be cautious about the environment of safety that you give to them emotionally and all that. And the example that she gave was, let's say that they're wearing nail polish on their toes and you say, oh, cute nail polish. They might put nail polish on their toes because they're really insecure about their toes, and now you've just drawn attention to their toes, and now they're thinking about their toes. And just don't comment on people's appearances. You never know what it is. The only thing that you comment on are things that you need to comment on, like, hey, that's a really interesting oozy rash. You want to talk about that before I touch you?
Please tell me you never actually had to use that sentence in real life.
God, thank God, no. There have been a couple of things I had to just be like, hey, just notice things. But then there's also this part of it where, as a massage therapist, you're seeing parts of their body that they don't get to see, like their back and stuff. So if you find something that you are concerned about, you need to be prepared to bring that up. But otherwise, you don't comment on anything like some toes that are curled in and strange looking. You never comment on that. You would
Well, because you may be giving a massage to Moses, who supposes his toes are roses, even if Moses supposes erroneously.
That's right. That's exactly right. That was the exact rhyme, whatever that was. We were taught.
That they taught you that in massage school?
Yeah, we had to memorize that. And it was part of our graduation course that we all together in chorus, recited it in front of our graduation.
Recite it for me now since you have it memorized.
Okay. Moses supposes toes be roses, erroneous toes. He went to the baker and had the hat maker make hats for his toes, you see.
Oh, very nice. I think that was exactly right.
Did you learn the New Testament books with a song? Did they teach that to you? Is that how they taught it to you?
I know.
I know it. Oh, hold on. United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Jamaica,
Haiti, Jamaica, Peru. You can keep going with that.
Those are Bible. Man, the Bible's changed. I didn't know they started naming the books after.
It's a different Bible in the AG world.
Definitely changed.
No, they did for us, but I always get, because I can see. Hold on, it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Acts, and the Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, and Ephesians, Hebrew, James, 1st and 2nd. I'm done there. Is it Timothy? I don't know, but that's how they taught. That's how they taught the New Testament. Old Testament, there were too many.
I love the book of 2nd. I'm done there. That is one of my favorite books of the Bible.
It's but often then it ended. I
was like the end because we'd all be like Jude and Revelation. Like everybody would scream that in class. But like King Philip came over from Great Spain. Like, what do they call those? How you learn, like, because like that's kingdom, phylum.
Yeah.
What do they call those?
Those are called mnemonic devices.
Yeah. But my wife didn't know. Like, every good boy does fine. And I was surprised. Like, my wife never learned those because she was like, "What are you talking about?" Because I was trying to teach Mackenzie something. I was like,
There's one for the planets about mom making cookies or something. I've heard
different. Yeah, you kind of put in whatever you want. Yeah, but what is that one? It's I don't remember the order of the planets. So
I just remember.
Is Pluto even in there anymore?
No. I remember. I just remember in college, anytime I needed to memorize a list of things, I would think of the most perverted mnemonic devices because they stuck better. And say what you want about human nature, it works. It's just like
no, they do. Well, that's what I'm saying. I still remember. Like, I don't know when I learned the kingdom phylum thing, but I mean, I remember that from like 7th or 8th grade. I still remember King Philip came over from Great Spain. It's kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Does me no good, but I know it for the rest of my life.
I have now found a Reddit thread of mnemonic devices.
Great. Perfect. Let's save it for our show.
This is going to be my keeping
outtakes.
Of course.
There's a standard one for memorizing the 12 cranial nerves for anyone doing neuroanatomy.
Hold on. Remind me of the first one.
You want the first of the mnemonic or the first cranial nerve?
Cranial.
The first cranial nerve is...
No, of the mnemonic. Like...
the first is O.
Oh, it's just it's O? Okay. I wonder if I'm going to be able to remember this because I
learned this one.
I think I did.
I wouldn't think you would forget this, but
you learned it for massage therapy.
What's the first word?
Or what?
Yeah,
the first word is O.
It's just O. Oh, okay.
Oh, yes, like that.
Oh, my O face. Oh.
Oh. Shit. Okay, what's the next one?
The next one is O.
Fuck.
Do you want me just to tell you what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So the mnemonic device for the 12 cranial nerves are O to touch and feel a virgin.
Oh shit! O to touch and feel. Oh, it's coming back. Is it something about vegetables?
Probably how you learned it is. Not in the one that I'm looking at.
Oh shit! Okay. What is it?
O to touch and feel a virgin girl's vagina. Heaven.
No, I did not learn that one at all. That is not what we learned in massage therapy school at all.
Yeah, no, that's good. All right, what was the clever one you found for the planets?
Well, the first off, I figured out the one I learned because, of course, when we learned planets, there were 9. Mm-hmm. So mine was my very educated mother just served us 9 pizzas.
That's what it was. It was pizzas, not cookies. Yeah.
But with the 8 planets, since, it ends at Neptune, Although this one actually, wait, hold on a second. This one would be Pluto, though. But I just thought this was interesting. My very easy memory jingle seems useful naming planets.
Nice.
I thought that was good.
That's good.
But then they also have many very educated men just screwed up nature. My violent evil monster just scared us nuts. I don't like that one.
All right, just a couple more that are in this Reddit thread. One is the taxonomic groups, which you've already done kingdom, phylum, class, order, genus, species, which you do King Philip or whatever. Mm-hmm. They learned it as kinky people can often find great sex.
That's not wrong.
This is not what's taught in school, though.
That's not wrong, though. And that one, honestly, will stick better.
That one has a ring of truth to it,
I'll
so it'll
just remember
stick better.
the mnemonic. I don't know what it's for. I just remember the mnemonic now forever.
What was it? Kinky people often
find great sex.
Can often find great sex.
Kinky people have good sex. Is the only thing that kinky sex. That's it. That's all I'm gonna remember.
Depends on your kink. Everybody's got a kink, though.
And then the other one was the 4 stages of mitosis. And
I know these.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. Yeah. That is prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. And that mnemonic device is porn makes aroused teenagers.
Yeah, these are not what you're taught in school, though. This is not like your
but they're
7th
better.
grade
This
teacher.
is what I'm saying. This is why you do dirty mnemonic devices, because they stick
No, because
King Philip came over from Great Spain is more memorable to me, obviously. So
because then the only thing that you remember at the end of the day is just that you're horny for some reason, and you're like, I don't know why. I don't know why I'm horny, but I am. I don't know what I learned today. I just remember that I'm horny.
I'm gonna go grab a Dr. Pepper, but I can do that in 30 seconds.
All right.
How many Dr. Peppers has he drank today? How many Dr. Peppers has he said? I don't know what the last word was.
Has he said?
Because I just said. But here's what happened. Let me explain. I read something as I was doing that, and I was reading what they so.
How many Dr. Peppers has he said? Jonathan, quit saying Dr. Peppers. You're supposed to drink them instead of say them. Let's go behind the sins now, shall we?
The aquarium is the cool shit. The aquarium is pretty missing.
Do you get any like friend passes with your membership?
No, I think they stopped doing that after the first year.
Oh, okay. Just curious. My wife and I were thinking about doing a day trip there for our anniversary.
Well, you should.
You could just pay.
Jonathan, I don't need your shame. Listen, if I can get a good deal from my friend, I'm going to get a good deal from my friend.
That's right.
If I can save, what is entry? $50 or something?
I think it's like $35 for one visit. And then that takes you into both of there's 2 museums. There's like the main fish one, and then there's another one that it's a taxidermy experience with live penguins at one point. So they want to draw you in so you can go through the penguins, but you're walking through all of these.
Are they only live penguins for half of the taxidermy experience?